Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Today I'd like to show you some cards that I've made from a suite in our annual catalog called Hues of Happiness, and it's found on page 109. So that suite, the products I'll be using here are the stamp set, which has flowers, leaves, and sentiments. Beautiful font on the sentiments. And a die set that goes with it. And the dies will cut out all of the objects, and it has three special dies in it that I'll show you how I use some of them. And the designer series paper. The designer series paper has lots of flowers and lots of watercolor designs that go together nicely. And let me show you the cards that I've made using this product. Okay, the first cards I'm going to show you are just using the paper and a sentiment. But the flowers are all flowers that I've either cut or die cut from the designer series paper. So on this one you can see that I also used one of the special dies that were in that die set, and it cuts out like a leaf pattern on your paper. So that was one sample. This one is the same thing. The flowers are all cut from some of that paper, and I used stripes of the back side that had the watercolor look on it. I had 4 stripes of those that I put on the back. And the happy birthday. Now on this one I also include some of the little tiny flowers that I cut out from the designer series paper. This one again has strips of the designer series paper on the back, hand cut flowers on the front with a little bow, the sentiment, and then I use that little dots along the edge so it looks like it's torn from a notebook. This one has the large flowers that were die cut. The dies will cut out these large flowers on the designer series paper, and I used strips that I had left over to make this background. So that's all paper from that designer series pack. Then I decided instead of using the flowers from the designer series paper, I would use regular cardstock and the stamp set and white emboss the flowers on different colors of cardstock, and then use the dies to cut out the flowers and the leaves. I did add a strip of the designer series paper on the side, and again I used that fancy die cut leaf pattern for the background on the white. Then I wanted to show you some that I used where I used the stamp and then colored them. This one was colored with Stampin' Blends. Again, I used the designer series paper for the background, and I used that little torn edge look on the side. And these glitter dots are from the suite, so they coordinate with it. And I stamped a little flower on the inside of this one and colored it also with the Stampin' Blends. Now this one I wanted to try out our watercolor pencils, so I used them to color the stamped image of the flowers. So I didn't use any designer series paper on this card. Now this last one, I used, instead of the flower side of the designer series paper for the background, I used the beautiful watercolor look. So I put that for the background, stamped the flowers and leaves, and then colored them with Stampin' Blends. And I used, again, that torn from a notebook look on the back behind the flowers. So I hope you enjoyed seeing these. Oh, let me show you the inside. I did something special on the inside of this one. I made it a pop-up with the die cut on the inside, and then added flowers and leaves and some of our brass butterflies. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of the samples that I made, and now you'll want to try some of your own. Thank you again for joining me. Bye now.